Vlad here from Nova Media, helping writers become bestsellers, and in this video I'm going to talk about the top markets and genres for self-published fiction authors and how this will determine your success as a self-published author. Picking the right market or genre is crucial to the success of a self-published author, and in this video I'm going to give you the clarity that you need to understand what is the scaling potential of your business and what you can expect from what you have already, and then also if you were to switch genres, what you can expect from other ones, and also help you guide in terms of understanding the best genres you could go into and which ones could be the most lucrative. But first, let me share with you a quick story that would make you understand the importance of a market with one of the authors that we've been working with. So here you have the same author, and then he published in two different markets. One was paranormal women's fiction and the other one was crime fiction. So in this screenshot here you see the same author that published paranormal women's fiction, and in 11 months she was able to generate $22,000 in revenue, making $7,000 in profit. And then in this screenshot you see the same writer that made $236,000 in profit and a total revenue of $294,000. And this is the same writer writing in two different markets with two different outcomes, and the same marketing team in the back end. And in the first screenshot you see here that we were struggling to make profit, and we had some unprofitable months, and eventually we had to stop advertising because this wasn't going anywhere, and the crime fiction series was doing much better. So as you can see, that the genre is very important, and you can see that the same author and the same marketing team was able to achieve very different results, and that was significantly impacted by the market. It wasn't anything else. The quality of the books were the same, the writer was the same, the marketing team was the same. The only difference was the market. So we can clearly see the difference a market can have on the success of a self-published author. One was very successful and the other was barely making any profit. And this is crucial when you pick the genre that you write. It's not that someone can't make it into the paranormal women's fiction, it's just that you have to have different expectations from that market compared to crime fiction. So it's very important to understand what you can expect from each market and each genre. There's going to be huge differences, and you're addressing very different pools of readers, and we're talking about how they behave, how fast they read, as well as how big this audience is and how many books you can sell. Paranormal women's fiction is a much smaller genre compared to crime fiction that is much bigger, and then you can even talk about psychological thrillers, that's even a much bigger one, and then you go to romance, which then becomes even larger than this. So picking the right market and genre can lead to you having exponential results compared to going into a smaller genre where things are not really in your benefit. And if you were to pick the wrong genre, it could be that you might be struggling to market the book, you're not going to have enough readers to market to, you're not going to have things like TikTok available or Instagram marketing or Facebook marketing. You might be limited to reaching out to potential reader. Whereas going into a larger market, then you're going to have all those things available to you, and you would be able to use multiple tools in order to reach to readers that happen to be on different platforms. Where in a smaller genre, usually readers tend to be just in one place, and if you're not able to market on that specific platform, then it's going to be very hard to build a successful and sustainable career. You might be tempted to pick a large market that you're not necessarily passionate about, and usually what that does, it leads to authors just struggling to write, and usually it leads into burnout. So you kind of have to find a mix between a market that allows you to sell a lot of books and the market that you enjoy as well, and that would be the sweet spot that you want to find yourself in. So let's just jump over to my computer here, and I'm going to show you some interesting data on the current markets. All right, so here you can see the best markets of 2023, and all this data was taken from K-Lytics. So we have a few interesting things. There's not going to be all of the markets, but this is pretty much the most demanded markets from authors as well as readers. And there's going to be some interesting things here that we're going to have to look at. So the first and most important one, we're looking at market royalties per month. So this is the amount of money that's being moved within a market. The reason why this is important is because as authors, what you're doing is you're taking a chunk of this money, right? Each month you're making an amount of money which represents a percentage of that market. And here we have two scenarios where you have 2% of the market and then 20% of the market. So you can make some estimation in terms of how much you can actually earn from this market if you were to acquire a specific, part of that market. And then some other interesting things that we can get into, but the most important being this one. The bigger the market, the easier it's going to be for you to acquire readers, market, and grow your business. And then we also have here a series, which basically the reason why this is here is because markets where you have series, they're way more sustainable because you acquire a reader and then usually they just keep on reading. So you acquire a reader and they can monetize it for the next, few months. So you don't actually have to do marketing for that specific reader. They will just keep on reading, and that's going to give you more consistency. Here we have the number of books, right? So the competition, obviously the biggest markets have some of the biggest amount of titles published, and then we have average ranks, right? So on Amazon we have different ranks, and we have the top 20 and the top 21 to 100, and the better the rank, the more you can sell. And this is usually like where you can actually maintain your books. If you were to market heavily or consistently, you would be able to attain specific ranks, and then also assume that you can probably maintain those ranks for a long period of time. All right, so let's have a look at paranormal women's fiction, which is the one that I showed you in the screenshot, and then we have female detective and sleuth. So those are the ones from the screenshots. The crime fiction series was here, and we can see very clearly there's a big difference. So the average rank of the top 20 bestsellers is 798, and then the average rank here is 6,000, almost 6,000. So this is something that can be achieved, right? And this is the numbers that we see across the years. This is where the books has been maintaining consistently, and because of this, you're able to generate a specific amount of money in the books that you advertise. And if you were to look at this and say, you want to acquire 2% of the market, which is very doable. The most we've probably acquired from a market is around 25%. So if we were to acquire 2% of the market from the monthly amount that's being moved within that market, then you're looking at making $26,000. So that shouldn't be something very difficult to achieve in female detective and sleuths. But if we were to look here in paranormal women's fiction, we can see that in order for us to make the same amount, you would have to basically acquire 20% of the market in this genre to make the same amount of money. So it's 2% versus 20%, which is a big difference. If we're looking at just 2%, then you're looking at making $2,762. So that should be easy to make, as well as this should be easy to make, but you're making 10 times the more money by acquiring 2% of the market. And then we have here another row that says estimated author royalties per month. So this is an average of the top 20 authors, how much they would make. And this is an average, so it's not something that is super accurate, but you can see that if you were to write epic fantasy, you would make 7,000. If you were to write billionaire romance, you would make around 37,000 if you were to be in the top 20 authors. If you were to write psychological thrillers, you would make 40,000, so on and so forth. So this would give you like an estimate of what you can achieve. And if you want to make, 6 figures a month or high 5 figures, you would definitely have to be here. Other than that, like you can probably still make it into other genres, but that would require you to be, in the top 5, top 10. So you would have to be exception or the best, the top 10 of the market in order to make that money, which is obviously is going to be much more difficult. And another thing that we have to look at here is that even though you see some markets are big, there's psychological thriller, for example, that top 20 authors make $40,000 per month, which is actually the highest from this list, right? So the psychological thriller authors, the ones at the top make the most money, while the ones that are at the bottom, they actually don't make as much, right? And then if we were to filter this here, you would see that those authors, billionaire romance, romantic suspense, paranormal romance, and romantic fantasy, you actually don't have to be a bestseller, or you don't have to be in the top 20 to make decent amount of money. If you were to publish psychological thrillers, then you obviously need to aim to be in the top 20 authors in order for you to make money. If you were to be below, then this is very hard. So basically readers are just paying attention to the bestsellers. And if we were to look in the top 100 bestseller list of psychological thrillers, you will see that they have hundreds of thousands as reviews. And then if you were to look in the other authors, they're barely getting 1,000 reviews or 2,000 reviews. So that means that there is demand, high demand, but only for the best books. So when it comes to picking the right genre for you or the right market, you need to, as I said, have the balance between what you can sustain throughout a long period of time, and then also something that would give you the outcome that you want from writing. Otherwise, you can end up, putting a lot of effort into a market that would never really give you what you're actually looking for. So let's say that you want to test a new genre and see if that's something that would work. What I would recommend is just not fully committing to it first. Just publish one book, right? It doesn't have to be a long book. You can publish a 50K, 60K book and then see how that goes. And if you're seeing some success with that, then you can go ahead and, plan for something much bigger. But you don't want to commit to something that's super long and it's going to take, a year for you to write, and then just only to figure out that it's not going to work out for you. So test small and be flexible. Like, you might have 2-3 different genres that you want to go into. We certainly have some authors that are willing to switch genres, and the way we do it is we say, like, let's just plan, write one book for this, write one book for this market, and then write another one for that. And then all of those 3 genres would be something that I know they would work, and then whatever works best for them and they get the best results and they enjoy writing, that's something that we're basically going to double down and just pursue. Now, when it comes to marketing, what I can tell you for a fact is that in the largest genres, you're going to have a much easier time to advertise. Advertising would be much easier, much simpler. Everything that you put out is going to actually have an impact because there is so much demand that it's very easy to find those readers, right? You're not going to have to struggle to find. You're not going to have to, wonder which interest should I target, or my Amazon ads doesn't work. That's going to be less likely to happen. The issues with marketing usually occur in genres that are small or markets that are small, and the books are also very niched, and it's very hard to find the audience that resonate to your books. And when you go into a market and you understand the genre and you're actually giving readers what they crave for, you're actually hitting the tropes and writing about what they care, then it's much easier to get readers to come to you and buy your books. And each marketing channel, such as Amazon ads, DSP ads, Facebook ads, TikTok organic, Facebook posting organic, all of those will work. If you look at the ones at the top, like psychological thrillers, fantasy romance, dark mafia romance, those are all channels that authors are using successfully, compared to, smaller genres where you don't have the luxury of going to TikTok because your audience is not there. And you can simply do that by just, if you have an email list, you can just survey them and ask them, like, what are the platforms that you're spending time on? And they will tell you if they're on TikTok or on, Facebook or on Instagram. And then you can go and tackle those platforms. But very rarely happens that in small markets, you will have the luxury to pursue all of those marketing tools that we have available. Okay, so here's the key points that we've discussed in this video. So number 1, you want to make sure that you go for a market that you actually enjoy writing it. That would be the most important one. Because if you're not passionate about it, if you don't enjoy writing it, you're not going to be consistent, and that business will eventually fail. You'll stop publishing, you'll start writing, and it's not going to actually make you any money. So don't go for the best market or the largest market if you don't enjoy it. Go for something that's probably lower or in the middle that you still enjoy. Try to find the sweet spot. Number 2, you have to understand how big this market is and then what you can expect. If you were to take 2% of this market, how much would that be? Is that enough for you? Or do you want to, achieve 6 figures per month? If 6 figures per month, then you are kind of forced to just go for the ones at the top. So I hope that you're actually passionate about those. And look at the averages. If the, average authors in that specific niche or market make a specific amount of money, then that means that it's very plausible for you to achieve that as well. You don't want to be in a genre where, most authors are making very little money and then you hoping that you're gonna, change the market and make more. The chances of that happening are not impossible, but are slim. And you need a really good marketing team, and then you need also a really good book that fits that specific demand in that market. And also the market can dictate the results that you're currently having. So in case if you're struggling to sell your books or you're not having the results that you want, it could be that that's just a, result of the market. It could be that you've done everything that you thought you can do, but you haven't had any success. In that case, it may be the market that you're in and not necessarily the marketing that you're doing or the books that you have. It could be that that's the most that you can get out of that market. And if that's the case, you might want to consider switching genre or jumping into a different genre. And the way to also penetrate a different genre could be that you can just survey your readers and ask, like, what other books are you reading? What other genres are you reading? And you can actually take your readers and then move into a different one. And that's going to give you a really good advantage and a launch pad to get visibility there and not necessarily start off from scratch. If you found this video useful, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, if you know someone that could use this information, please make sure to share this with them. Hopefully they can find something useful as well.